What's up, Commanders family? Welcome back to Commanders HQ, where we bring you the most exclusive burgundy and gold stories straight from the heart of Ashburn. Let me start today with this. Our Washington Commanders are in a constant process of sharpening, adjusting, and perfecting every detail to make sure 2025 is the season that finally delivers the results we've all been waiting for. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are pushing this roster to its limits, looking for consistency, discipline, and big-time performances. Before we break this one down, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button right now. It helps the channel grow, keeps Commanders Nation united, and makes sure every fan gets these updates first. Now, let's dive in. The preseason is over. Cuts are looming, and while most of us are looking forward to that Week 1 showdown against the New York Giants, one major storyline is hanging over this roster. The backup quarterback situation looks messy, and the coaching staff has some very tough decisions to make. In the preseason finale against the Baltimore Ravens, both Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson had a chance to prove they deserve a roster spot. Instead, both struggled. Badly. Let's start with Hartman. He played the entire first half and finished 12 of 17 for 114 yards. That sounds fine, until you dig deeper. 2 interceptions, including a brutal pick six. Most of his completions were dump-offs behind the line of scrimmage. The zip wasn't there, the timing wasn't there, and frankly, the moment looked too big for him. Johnson, the 38-year-old journeyman, didn't fare much better. Over the course of the preseason, he also threw 3 interceptions and showed inconsistency. Sure, he's got veteran savvy, but at this point, the ceiling just isn't there. So here's the reality. Washington may decide neither guy is worth keeping. Now here's where things get interesting. The only reason this conversation isn't already over, with both Hartman and Johnson out the door, is Marcus Mariota. The veteran backup who's been nursing Achilles tendonitis throughout camp has been limited for weeks. Mariota did return to practice recently, which is a huge positive, and if the team feels confident in his health heading into Week 1, there's no real reason to stash a struggling Hartman or Johnson on the roster. But if there's even a small doubt about Mariota's availability, Washington may decide to keep one of them as insurance. Between the two, Johnson makes more sense. He has experience, he knows how to manage a huddle, and while he didn't shine this preseason, he at least has years of tape showing he can step in if disaster strikes. Hartman, he just doesn't look ready. Not for Week 1. Not for this roster. Of course, all of this revolves around one undeniable fact. This is Jayden Daniels' team. Daniels enters his second season as the unquestioned starter and face of the franchise. And while preseason QB depth battles may not seem glamorous, they matter because they directly impact how stable the foundation around Daniels really is. You don't want your young star looking over his shoulder wondering if the next injury means the season collapses. You want stability. You want a safety net. That's why the front office brought in Mariota, to mentor, to guide, and to deliver if called upon. And let's be honest, Mariota showed last year he's more than capable. He beat the Panthers when Daniels was sidelined, and he engineered a game-winning drive against Dallas in the season finale. That's not a break glass in case of emergency quarterback, that's a proven professional. Now, while the QB depth battle is playing out, another fascinating storyline is happening in the Commanders' locker room, the generational gap. Washington currently has the oldest roster in NFL history with an average age of 27.2 years old. 20 players are over the age of 30. And right at the center of that veteran-heavy group is a 24-year-old quarterback who's still finding his way in the NFL. Jayden Daniels recently addressed it, saying, "I think they like being around me because I keep them young." Right there is gold. Daniels is bringing energy, humor, and a youthful spark into a locker room filled with vets like Bobby Wagner, who's 35. In fact, Daniels shared a funny story about how sometimes his generation's slang completely confuses Wagner. Words like aura farming just don't land with the older guys. Daniels admitted he has to explain modern lingo to Wagner, and in a way, it shows how the young quarterback isn't just learning from his teammates, he's also teaching them a thing or two. Some fans might worry about having such an old roster, but here's the reality. This balance of youthful energy and veteran leadership could be exactly what Washington needs. Think about it. Daniels is on a rookie contract. The team has surrounded him with experienced stars who know how to win, know how to prepare, and know what it takes to survive an NFL season. That's the blueprint for a deep playoff run. The Commanders were one game away from the Super Bowl last season, and now they're going into 2025 with more experience, more stability, and a young quarterback who's growing into his role as a leader. If you ask me, the generational gap isn't a problem, it's an advantage. We all know Jaden Daniels as the smooth, calm, confident young quarterback who seems to handle everything with ease. He's got that million-dollar smile, he connects with fans, and he carries himself like a natural leader. But don't let that calm demeanor fool you. Dan Quinn, who has seen just about everything this league has to offer, laid it out in plain words. I think that smile is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is an absolute dog. Think about that for a second. Quinn isn't just praising Daniels' talent, he's calling out the edge, the grit, the relentless competitiveness that hides behind that easygoing personality. That's the stuff that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. And from the head coach's perspective, Daniels is already proving he's got the mindset of a champion. When Daniels first arrived in Washington, expectations weren't high sky. The Commanders were coming off a 4-17 season in 2023, and the team was still rebuilding under new leadership. Daniels was a bright spot, yes, but most of the league saw Washington as a long-term project. Instead, Daniels flipped the script. From day one, his work ethic stood out. Dan Quinn has talked about how Daniels puts in extra hours, goes through reps until he's perfected the details, and consistently brings his teammates into that same mindset. When your quarterback is the hardest worker in the building, the culture changes fast. Veteran players, guys like Bobby Wagner, Jonathan Allen, and now Deebo Samuel all respect him. That's no small thing. When you're just 23, stepping into a locker room filled with guys 10 or even 12 years older than you, it's easy to fade into the background. Daniels didn't. He earned his spot, not just by what he did on Sundays, but by how he grinds Monday through Saturday. And let's be real, the results speak for themselves. Last season, Daniels threw for 3,568 yards with 25 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions and a 69% completion rate, one of the best in the league. For a rookie quarterback, that's unheard of. He wasn't just managing games, he was winning them. People said Washington's offense looked college. Maybe it did, but Daniels ran it with precision, patience, and execution. He kept the chains moving, kept defenses guessing, and always seemed to find the right read at the right time. The Commanders didn't just exceed expectations, they bulldozed them, storming all the way to the NFC Championship game. And yes, we all remember how it ended, a tough loss to the Eagles, who went on to win it all. But that run showed the NFL that Washington isn't a rebuilding team anymore. With Daniels at the helm, they're already a contender. And here's the kicker. The front office didn't just sit back and say, we're good. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn doubled down. They went out and brought in star wide receiver Deebo Samuel, a guy who can turn any short pass into a game-breaking play. They added Laramie Tunsil, one of the best left tackles in football, to keep Daniels upright and clean in the pocket. Those aren't small moves. Those are franchise-shifting decisions. Washington isn't just trying to compete in the NFC East. They're building a roster designed to win the whole thing. For Daniels, it means something simple. Fewer hits, more weapons, and more chances to shine. For us as fans, it means expectations are sky high. But here's the part Quinn was really emphasizing. Daniels may be young, but he's already demanding excellence, and that's rubbing off on everyone. The danger with success is complacency. After all, Washington was just a few plays away from the Super Bowl last year. But Quinn isn't letting his team forget. They haven't won anything yet. And Daniels, he's right there with them. That smile may light up the room, but Quinn sees the dog underneath. He sees a quarterback who isn't satisfied, who isn't afraid of the moment, and who isn't just happy to be in the conversation. Daniels wants to own it. Think back to last offseason. Fans were just hoping for a respectable season, maybe 7 or 8 wins. Now, anything less than a deep playoff run would feel like a disappointment. That's the Daniels effect. That's what happens when your young quarterback doesn't just meet expectations, he blows right past them. And that's where Washington finds itself now, living in the space between hope and expectation. Hope is easy. It's a wish. Expectation is heavier. It means accountability. It means Daniels isn't just the future, he's the present. So now we arrive at the big question for Commanders Nation.
Can Jaden Daniels and this revamped roster take the next step? The Eagles knocked Washington out last year. The Cowboys always loom large in the division. The 49ers are still a powerhouse in the NFC. The road won't be easy, but with the way Quinn talks about Daniels, with the way the young quarterback has already galvanized this locker room, you can't help but feel like Washington is right there on the edge of something special. So let's circle back to the big question. What's next for the Commanders' quarterbacks after this disastrous preseason showing? Here's how I see it. Jaden Daniels is the unquestioned starter. Marcus Mariota, assuming his Achilles holds up, is QB2 and the steady hand behind him. Hartman? Likely gone. Johnson? Maybe, just maybe, he sticks around as QB3 if the staff wants extra insurance. It all comes down to how much risk Washington wants to take heading into the season opener against the Giants. So, Commanders fans, I'll throw it to you. Should Washington keep 3 quarterbacks, or is it a waste of a roster spot? Between Hartman and Johnson, who would you trust more as an emergency QB3? And how do you feel about this unique locker room dynamic, with Daniels keeping veterans like Wagner young? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading all of them and featuring the best takes in future videos. And before you head out, don't forget, smash that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single update as we're covering every angle of this team's journey to what we hope will be a Super Bowl run. Washington is building something real, something special. The quarterback depth may look shaky now, but with Daniels' leadership and Mariota's experience, this team is as prepared as ever. Let's ride, Commanders Nation. The season is almost here.